September 24th, and just a little bit before 10:30. I was talking about different forms of torture that were being used against me and my son in East Wenatchee, and I did forget to mention a couple of other things, which I think that I should address before I explain how then that torture even was escalated and other forms introduced. One thing that I didn't mention is when I brought up how I had counseling at the one counseling center in Oregon for 3 months. But I didn't mention the fact that before I had counseling with Brett McDonald, actually I want to talk about the counseling because, and I really apologize because inserting some of this stuff about the counseling is sort of doing like a patchwork on my timeline here, because I am moving forward on this timeline, but I'm kind of going back a little bit to talk about a few things that I forgot to mention that I don't feel like I should go back and address later when it's so much later. So I had counseling with that one place for 3 months of my own volition and choice. And then I had counseling, actually I didn't have any counseling aside from that. But because I was being called crazy, and so that was in 1998, 1999, it was sometime after my being raped. But after I was being called crazy and defamed to police for legal reasons, which no one always knows or understands that it's for legal reasons. They just really believe what they're being told. And because it was smearing my reputation, and this was before even an article was written about me. I mean, I had people coming up to me from Mount Angel Abbey saying all kinds of things that they'd been told by different people about me. So I went to the Oregon State Bar and said, I want to find out, I'd like to know, I thought at the time that maybe if I went to the Oregon State Bar, the other person, actually I should mention, the other person, the first time that someone actually really kind of slandered me on paper, aside from what the Abbey was doing, and it was someone that I thought was on my side, was Greg Smith. And he was an attorney that worked with Dan Gaddy in Salem, Oregon, and Dan Gaddy had sort of helped me a little bit with some of the problems I was having with the Mount Angel Abbey and the Archdiocese. However, when they wanted me to go in front of the media and say I wasn't going to file a case, when I did want to file a case, when I found out this was wrong, and also when I found out they were not going to give me photos of that were part of my legal record. They'd had me go out to the property with an assistant and then took some photos, supposedly, and then I never got to see them. So I asked them to please include those in my legal file when they said they weren't going to file the case. And I don't know if it was good cop, bad cop routine, but Dan was playing the sympathetic role. They felt I had a case on a few different levels. And I did, because I did the research and I saw that I did. The most significant level was obviously the Section 1983. I had a very strong case against law enforcement and public officials for misusing their authority. The other thing was intentional infliction of emotional distress, because while I was not a victim of sex abuse, I was definitely exploited and then harassed when they knew that it would cause unavoidable amount of stress in my life. So Dan sort of supported that, at least to my face he did. And then Greg was playing stern cop. And in front of me was talking to Dan and arguing against it. Supposedly, for religious affiliation, for whatever reason, Dan supposedly was raised Roman Catholic, and supposedly he became born-again Christian, Protestant Christian. That's what he said. As for Greg Smith, he's supposedly Protestant Christian. I don't know what kind of variety, but that's what he said. And when they kind of dropped my case, they even did do some kind of a contract with me. And I'm trying to remember what it was, but I'd have to think about it. But they sort of backed out. I mean, they were kind of going forward on something for me, and then they backed out of it, and it was really upsetting to me. And the way that Greg had treated me, I felt was really disrespectful. So I reported him, maybe for not giving me the photos or not releasing the file to me, maybe not doing the lawsuit. I can't remember what it was. Something along ethical lines. And he was the first person to then, in his defense, write to the Oregon, and I did this with the Oregon State Bar. And then for his own defense to the Oregon State Bar, he decided to go along with this brand new idea that the Mount Angel Abbey and Archdiocese had of saying that I was quote-unquote potentially dangerous, unstable, and looking like I was a nut. And actually, I believe one of the things that Greg Smith said to me is he made fun of me and characterized me as the woman who, in Fatal Attraction, who becomes obsessed with a man and then she flips out when he rejects her, and she starts boiling bunnies and doing all kinds of crazy things. I mean, the movie is the one with Glenn Close. And that he knew that wasn't true. It was because of and with all of my background and having been raped and then what they did to me, it was so painful for him as a lawyer and somebody that I thought I could respect as a lawyer, because I thought at that time lawyers deserved respect because I thought they were upholding justice. I mean, no one had bad lawyer jokes in my family. We never used lawyers. We never needed one. Never had problems with one. To my knowledge, nobody got divorced. There was one divorce in the entire family on both sides, or maybe two total. 3 generations back, both sides. We just didn't have a lot of problems. So I had this idea that lawyers were bastions of justice. And I was really shocked and hurt. I was very hurt. And it wasn't that, quote-unquote, Greg rejected me. It was that he really insulted me and insulted my dignity because I was a totally different person than I was being portrayed as. And when I'd worked so hard in my life to do that and to be that way and to have upstanding character or try. It was deeply wounding to have someone side with the people who were using police illegally against me and call me, say I was like the woman from Fatal Attraction. So I did go ahead and report him to the Oregon State Bar for the other things he was doing. And probably his insults had something to do with my decision and why I decided to go ahead and do it. I think I felt at that point that he was not ever working on my behalf. And so I went to the Oregon State Bar, found out how to do whatever this reporting thing is, and And before he did make some attempt. He said something like, let's let bygones be bygones, and he did make a very short apology. And I did accept the apology in a sense. I mean, I didn't completely reject that apology. It wasn't like, it wasn't basically like I disregarded it. I just thought that he was being manipulative. So, I mean, any kind of a sincere apology I definitely would have accepted. But I felt that he was trying to manipulate my sympathies. And that was the only reason why he was making this apology. So I didn't like feeling like I was being manipulated, and I went ahead with this complaint to the Oregon State Bar. He basically defended himself by saying I was mentally ill, or suggested that I was. And when he did that and I read that, I was really devastated, because already the Abbey was trying to use police against me. And then I had this lawyer putting this into the public record with Oregon State Bar. And I wanted to prove that there wasn't anything wrong with me. So, I mean, I already had a lot of character witnesses in my whole life, my past life history, to back me up. But I thought maybe I need something on paper too. Just some document that states that I'm not mentally ill. So I went to the Oregon State Bar and I said, what do you suggest? I'd like to know if there's a counselor or somebody that you guys might recommend it. For example, if you have lawyers who have problems in any way, who do you send your lawyers to? Because if you will accept somebody who is that you use, and if that will hold weight with you, instead of my choosing my own person, then I could maybe do that and establish the fact that there isn't anything wrong with me. So they gave me the name of this man, and I went to him and I paid for my own sessions. It was like maybe 4 or 5 times. And on all the he gave me an MMPI. I'd never had one in my life, and I didn't study for it. I mean, I didn't go online and try to figure out, how can I ace the MMPI? I believe I looked it up one time online, just in general, what's MMPI stand for, but I never looked at a sample test. And I'm not even sure that I even looked up that much about the test, because he just said he wanted to do it, and I said okay. And I didn't have anything to hide. I didn't really feel like spending time looking at this test. Anyway, so I took the test, and it came through with nothing being wrong with me. And then he said, I mean, I was completely normal in every single way, and in the truth-telling or honesty section, there's nothing wrong. The only thing that he said, I think that it's strange that you have such a high self-esteem. He basically thought that I had too high of a self-esteem for the things that I'd been through in life, or something. But according to the test results, there was nothing wrong with me. So I did it honestly. I didn't try to, distort my answers in any way, or change them to what I thought somebody might want to hear. So then he seemed kind of puzzled or upset, and he said, I would like to administer a test that's a little different. And then he later told me it was more challenging. He said it's more challenging, and it will be a little harsher. He said, but don't worry, because if it is on the harsh side, that's how it runs for everyone, and we take that into consideration. I think it was the Wechsler or something like that. It was one specific edition. He didn't want one kind. He wanted the one that was the most critical of all the personality inventory tests. And I said okay, because I didn't have anything to hide. So I took that test, and that one was normal too. And there were some scales or sides of it that were higher or lower than other sides, but it was normal. So then he didn't seem very happy, and then he's taking my test